Hey guys, thanks for coming. Great crowd today. Big day for us. First press conference, I guess, to start the season. Before I sort of start with some opening comments, Scott Former wanted me to relay some information that the RCAF just surpassed the $2 million mark for the first time ever. I think it's something like 2,007,000 at this time. So, what a feat! Not only for our university, for our athletic department, but for our community, for the way they have reached out and supported our athletic program. Great things ahead for our athletic program, as you can see the success that our entire athletic program has had this past year. So really appreciative to our community, to our fans, our alumni, and everybody who made that happen. Hey, moving forward now to the Southern game. You know, it's been a long camp. I was talking to somebody the other day. Most universities have been in school already for a week, maybe some 2 weeks. So our guys really had 3 weeks of camp, which really made it long. So we had them from early in the morning to late at night for 3 weeks. Some kids only had 1 week and then they started normal class schedule. It allowed us to get a lot of work done. I feel like we've had ample time to prepare. In some ways, this camp has been a little bit different for the fact so many returning starters that the Daniel Claves of the world, the Alonzo Harrises of the world, the Justin Hamiltons, Christian Ringos that have played in 39 straight college football games. We didn't necessarily come into camp and just beat them to death. They got some scrimmage work early. The first scrimmage, and from that point on, didn't get a lot of live work. And that was a little bit of the method to the madness, was making sure we get those guys to the first game. We felt like we've got a lot of key starters, and if we can get to the first game, get them to the race with those key starters, we would have a chance to be effective. Hoping that we've kept them sharp enough to where they're polished enough to be able to play effectively, but I think that will come quickly because, like I said, it's not like they haven't played in many games before. When you go back and look at the way camp went, Terrence Broadway is spinning the ball right now as good as I've ever seen him throw it, especially last night. You know, we've had 2 out of our last 5 days off, and he came out last night with a refreshed arm and was swinging the ball around the park. Really impressive. Receivers catching the ball impressively. Defensively, running to the football. Our front on the defensive side of the ball will be the strength of our team. Hope we can get some pressure on the quarterback. On the offensive side of the ball, obviously, our skill guys, along with 4 starters on the offensive line, but our skill guys all are back with lots of game experience, and so excited about that too. And then most of our kicking game is back also. So a lot of the pieces to the puzzle are in place. Now it's up for us as a team and as a staff to put this puzzle together over the next 14 weeks. And so, but excited to get started. SWAC champions coming to town. They had a really good season last year. I think they won their last 9 out of 10 games, or 9 out of 11, I might add. And so they had a really good season last year. They come in with a young quarterback. A little leery to what he's going to do and what they're going to do with him. So that's a little bit of the unknown. But they do have some starters back in some key positions also. And as you know, our guys know their guys. They'll come in here really excited to play. And obviously, when you get a chance to play in front of a crowd like they're going to play in front of, they'll give us their best shot, like we're going to get all year long. So we've got to have another great week of preparation leading up to the game. But I know our kids and coaches are anxious to play and get in front of our fans in newly renovated Cajun Field. So with that, open up any questions.
What worries you the most about Southern?
A little bit of the unknown. You know, anytime you've got a new quarterback, are they changing systems, you know, or are they going to do things a little bit differently? Anytime you got a new quarterback, sometimes obviously you fit your offense to fit what he can do. And so, you know, a little bit uncertain. Always the first game of the year, that uncertainty. Have they hidden something and changed offenses, defenses, and kept it a secret and surprised you with it game 1? Maybe some changes in the kicking game that they didn't show last year. So it's always a little bit of those first game concerns of what will you actually see. But they have some really good skill players, and so we've got to do a good job.
With a guy like Shorts, he's making his first start. You know, Tillery is a pretty good running back. Is it a case of maybe you load the box and kind of anticipate run, or retrospect, also try to get pressure on Shorts and make him make some bad decisions?
Well, for us, we're always going to try to stop the run first. You know, to me in college football, you got to stop the run, control the pass. And so we've got to stop the run. And hopefully we can do that with our front and not have to rely on a lot of other people in the box or maybe pressures and things like that. We'd like to try to do that in our base looks also. But if we have to do some things like to stop the run, we'll have to do that. I like our plan. Anytime the first game of the year, I think we're always going to try to keep it a little bit simple, especially on offense, so we can get in a good tempo. We don't want to get out there first game of the year and doing too much, and then you end up making mistakes because you maybe got too much in too early. And so we want to play simple. We want to play efficient. We want to play a great tempo, and same thing on the defense side of the ball.
Plan's kind of get Eli and Alonzo rocking and rolling on that offensive side of the ball.
That's the plan every year, is to get Eli and Alonzo with some momentum and get them going. And they'll get plenty of touches, and we've got, I think, a good plan for both of them. They both had great camps, and I expect them hopefully to pick up where they left off early this year, hopefully.
Terrence is playing his hometown team. Have you talked to him a little bit about that, about having family in and what that's going to be like for him?
You know, the question was, is Terrence excited about playing his hometown team? Well, you know, for one thing, I talked to our team, 2 weeks ago about, we are playing an in-state opponent, a team that's 45 miles away, a team that's got a lot of guys on the team that were either teammates with some of our players, might even be relatives to some of our players. They played against them, so there's a lot of relationships that may be there. A lot of fans, family members, maybe Southern fans or grads, didn't want to get into a lot of trash talking, any social media talk. Wanted to try to keep it as quiet as we can because we've got a job at hand to do, and don't want to fall into that trap of distraction with too many people thinking that they can get to our players. We want to just do our job, do it well, and play hard.
How much does it help having kind of that camp mentality of stay healthy, take care of business, going into a Southern game, like you said, that there's a lot of temptation to kind of get too amped up?
Yeah, the question was, what's the temptations of not getting too amped up? It is first game, and like I said, we want them to be excited. It's been a tough camp. I hope we come out really excited to play, but also with a great mindset that we've got to be effective, we've got to execute, and we've got to sort of control that attitude and play between the whistles. And I think our kids will play the way they practice, and they practice awfully well. So we'll see, but we're excited about it.
What are your main concerns right now coming out of camp?
Has our starters, and what's the question was, what was some of the main concerns we have coming out of camp? And the answer is, have our starters had enough live repetitions to be able to tackle effectively? That's one concern, is when your starters have not had lots of full contact tackling in scrimmage situations. That's always a little bit of concern. Obviously they've done tons of tackling drills to their blue in the face, and then they get the tackle and go full speed in the first scrimmage. But it's been about now going on 2.5 weeks without tackling in a scrimmage situation. And so, want to make sure that we can tackle, that we can run to the ball, which I know we can because we've got good team speed. But that would be one of the biggest concerns, adjusting to the speed of the game, which I don't think that'll be an issue because we do good ones-on-ones in practice. We just haven't been tackling to the ground with the ones here as of late.
Going into your 4th year now, what's the biggest difference for you maybe from season 1 till this opening game?
The biggest difference between season 1 and to the opening game now is our depth. Our first year coming in was a little leery to practice a lot of scrimmage reps, every week having another big 100-play scrimmage, because we didn't want to lose any starters because we didn't have any depth. Well, this year we've got some depth, and we really didn't want to lose any of the backups because we've got some depth. So it's just, players are a premium, and I've learned that when your best players are playing is when you've got your best chances to be successful. You can beat those guys into the ground and end up playing with the 2s and 3s that are probably tough because you beat them up and grinded them pretty good, but they're still not your 1s. And so, but we do have more depth than we had year 1 across the board. We were really thin, but those kids worked awfully hard, and they were very hungry.
Which is TJ Posey, probably still the only freshman that has a good shot at getting on the field.
Yeah, I would say TJ for sure. There's a couple other guys that that will dress, that could see playing time. We're gonna make that decision probably this week though, before the game. And on Gabe Fusilier, Boris Lee, and Travis Crawford. Those are the three true freshmen, or three that could play, and could play early as maybe on special teams, and then work their way into playing time on the offensive and defensive sides of the ball. Not guaranteed, but those are three that are looking like they may be far enough along to help us.
The Adidas contract y'all signed, see you smiling about that. How big is that for your guys, for you as a program?
Well, if you saw our guys yesterday, talking about the Adidas contract we just signed, if you saw the guys yesterday at Fan Day, all decked out, they're really, really proud to be in Adidas. We've got some great gear. They're excited to showcase it. And those uniforms we're going to showcase, I think the fans are really going to like. It's a very clean look, but they will see a lot of different looks as the season goes along. Some of our uniforms are still in production since the contract was signed a little late. So we've got lots of different uniform combinations that will be coming in as the season goes. But I'm a traditionalist in the way that we're always going to be traditional in a lot of the sense, but also we've got some surprises up our sleeves for our players that they're not even going to find out about until game day. And so I like holding a little bit back for those guys, but everybody likes opening up Christmas presents. And so I think it'd be fun for our fans, be great for recruiting.
How much of a role does that play as far as, look good, play good, and in the game?
Well, I think that's important. I think everybody likes to look good and feel good about themselves and be in top quality gear like you see everybody else in. And if you remember back to Florida International in 2011, when we just broke out nothing more simple than black helmets. And you would have thought the guys had won the lottery. And so anytime that you can do things to inspire your guys, to make it fun for them, because man, they're still 18, 19, 20-year-old young men that still like to have fun, and we try to make it fun for them by providing some things to those guys that help them succeed. And all the contributions that everybody is doing with the RCAF helps do these things for our players so we can give them the resources that they need to be successful.
Coach, what about talking about the lines? You've been successful here when you win, and occasionally you win under Coach Hudspeth. It's because the offensive line and the defensive line set the tone in the game. What are you going to be looking for Saturday from those two units?
Well, we're talking about the offensive defensive line setting the tone in these game, and to me, that always starts up front, both sides of the football. We've been very fortunate, knock on wood, the last 3 years that we've stayed very healthy on the offensive line, almost amazingly healthy. Defensive line wise, we've got depth this year, more than we've ever had. And even our young kids, like we just talked about with Boris Lee and Ladarius Kidd, is another freshman. If something happened, we would be able to rely on. We've got depth. And but to me, it all starts up front on both sides of the ball. And to me, in college football, if you've got a really good defensive line and you've got a really good quarterback, you've got a chance each week. And so we're just ready to go see where we're at. We won't know where we're at until we put a little thermometer on us on Saturday to see, where we've got to evolve and get to.
How big of a difference to open two at home as opposed to going on the road like last year?
Well, I'll tell you, a huge difference. It seemed like it was forever before we played a home game in front of our fans last year. And now opening up the first two at home, to me, that's what it's all about. It's opening up with your fans at home, game one, where they can get behind you. Because everybody, not only the players ready to play, man, those fans, they're ready to tailgate, get out there and barbecue and experience college football at its finest here at Cajun Field now with the renovated stadium. So that's huge. And people forget our first 2 out of 3 years that we've had here, we've had 5 home, 7 on the road. And that's a big difference. That's sort of paddling upstream a little bit. And so now at least we're going across an even lake. And so hopefully we can get off to a good start and play well this Saturday. I just want us to play hard, play effective, and take care of the ball, play good defense, and follow our plan to win. If we do that, hopefully we can continue to improve as a team.
You touched on briefly with the renovations. Just what are you expecting as far as an atmosphere and just kind of seeing that thing bold in on the south side?
We've got over 100 and I think some odd requests already for RVs. So you're going to see over 100 RVs parked in the parking lot. You can tell me another place around here other than a few other places that's got that type of atmosphere. The tailgating is going to be packed. It'll be if they set a record back in, was it 2008, when they played them last, I think with 41,000, if we don't blow that out of the water, I'll be shocked. And it's going to be a raging Cajun crowd. And so that's the thing I'm excited about. Our student body, I spoke with them last night at convocation. Our freshman class, 3,000 of them strong. They're going to be there. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of people there. It's going to be a loud, great in-game or game time experience with everybody in the renovated stadium. And plus, I think it's going to be great for the fans with all the new fan amenities there with the south end zone.
You mentioned how the team has improved with the depth. What about a little self-reflection? How have you improved over the last 4 years as a head coach?
Whew. I hope in a lot of ways, because as a coach, it's what you know after you've learned it all that counts. After you know it all that counts, I guess I should say. And as a coach, you grow every year. And I think one thing I probably have done a better job of, if I can say anything this year, is trying to make sure we take care of our players and get some of those key guys to the game. And I think if you asked any of them, I think they would say that Coach Hug really tried to get me to that first game. We didn't put them in positions where it would be risky and not smart, maybe scrimmaging with the 3s and 4s, guys that really don't know how to practice against one another. See, that's a critical part too. And you know, I'm really relying on a great coaching staff. We've got a coaching staff now that's been together going on year 4 with only one change. That's almost unheard of. And so now I feel like that these guys know what I want, what's expected, and they know how we do things. And so I've tried to let them do their jobs a little bit more, and because we have an outstanding coaching staff. But our program still starts with hard work, discipline, trying to have a lot of juice, a lot of fun with our guys, practicing hard, lifting hard, training hard, but then playing hard.
Coach, Matthew Barnes, has he kind of adjusted to filling in that slot role after playing?
He has. You know, he's not your typical slot receiver when you see him. Kid that big, but let me tell you, he is effective, very deceiving with his speed. And the thing about it, most slot receivers are small. If you remember Harry Peoples now, Harry Peoples is going to catch any ball around him and then really do something with it. Matt Barnes is going to catch any ball in the area code because he's that much taller, that much wider. So he's a big target across the middle. He's a little easier to find than the littler guys that we've had at slot receiver in the past. So I think that part is really going to help in some ways. You wait till you see him play. I'm really high on Matt Barnes. I think he's going to be real effective.
How is the philosophy on the use of that position changed from people in the surgeon into what you have now?
Well, if you think about it too, the inside receivers, when it's a run play, those guys have to block who? They block linebackers. They don't block cornerbacks. The outside guys, outside receivers block corners. The inside receivers block outside linebackers. And so in the past, we've had Daryl Surgeon, 185 pounds, blocking a 235-pound outside linebacker. Well, now you got a Matt Barnes, a 235-pound kid that can run and catch and then be an effective blocker on the perimeter at the number 2 spot. So it's a give and take a little bit. He's not as dynamic as Harry Peoples, that's for sure. But he can really run fast, and he's got great hands, and he's an effective blocker.
What about him versus Riles in terms of what they bring in?
A little bit different, but, you know, Al Rouse is about 205 pounds. You know, he's a big receiver, not, you know, I'd say tall, but he's thick, he's strong, he's fast too. So I think both those guys are going to be fine. They're a little bit different than what we've had in the past because they're both bigger, but they're fast and they can catch the ball.
You talk about how much the fan support means to the players and when they get on the field. What does it mean to you and the coaching staff?
Well, when we say the fan support, that means, like you just said, that means a lot to the players. But you know what? I just love it because when I see, when we run through the tunnel, run through the smoke, we come out into Cajun Field, and that place is slam-packed with fight songs playing. That's an exciting time, and that just says that our fans are here, and they're hungry. And I love our fans because they're passionate, they love winning, as you know, most people do, but they love winning, and they really have done a great job of making Cajun Field a tough place to play, I think, for our opponents. And I think it was evident last year, but I think it can even be better. I don't think we're nowhere close where we can be.
NFL preseason gets 4 games to sort of work out the kinks. I know you had a dress rehearsal on Friday, and
Right.
the Saints are even talking about, you know, having 10 men on the field or 12 men on the field. In college, you don't get that, and how do you try to either avoid or limit those kind of mistakes?
Yeah, you know, question was, the NFL gets 4 preseason games, we don't get any. First of all, the first scrimmage, like you talked about, the first scrimmage for us, it's more situational, so you don't get the substitutional stuff you're talking about. The second scrimmage, you get a little bit of that because you're trying to do a little more game simulation, but it's still situational. And then, like we just had this last Friday, it was what we call a mock game, but we don't go against, we just go against the scouts. We're working on the situations, a full game, sending a punt team out, punting the ball, sending the defense out, and coordinating an entire game. That's the critical part. We don't get a lot of practice in that area, but if you think about it also with the NFL guys, their first 3 games are with 93 players. Half the guys playing aren't going to be there anyway. So for us, though, it's a little bit similar because the guys that did scrimmage are mostly our 2s because our 1s didn't go live. And so we've done hopefully a good job of preparing our guys with the substitution issues. Hopefully we can work out any of the kinks and not have any issues there on Saturday. And for me, that's all a discipline thing. That's all being locked into the game, knowing your role, and being ready to take the field when we need to.
Coach, one of the goals going into this fall here, practice, was to get some consistency in your kicking game, especially in the red zone and your return game. How do you feel about that going to the Southern game?
Well, trying to get some consistency with the kicking game. I really like Elijah McGuire back there returning punts. If you give that guy an inch, he's liable to take a mile. He has looked exceptional. I think he's going to be really effective, and we've worked really hard at making sure we got good people on the field, giving him some lanes. So we've got some of our best personnel on the punt return team, on punt block, punt return. Kickoff return, we're going to evaluate about 2 or 3 kickoff returners first game. I think you can look for Montreal Carter will get the first one. Montreal Carter will get the first kickoff return, but Darius Higgins will get the second one. And then I have not decided on the next one. I really like to see some guys in live action. We've seen them at practice and in scrimmages. They all have done pretty good, but I want to see them against live bullets, but those will be the first 2 kick returners.
Well, that's Scott.
He'll get an opportunity too. Yeah, he's done well too. He's in that mix too, him and Gabe Fuselier both. Those are 4 deep returners.
Who's somebody maybe you've seen progress through training camp and all those things that you're excited now for the fans to see on the field come this Saturday?
Who has progressed and who am I excited for the fans to see? Let's see. Some of our young defensive linemen, I think, have an opportunity to be pretty effective. If you look at a Romaine Douglas as a pass rusher, I think he's got a chance to be effective in the pass rushing. Roderick Stevens, some of the young D linemen that are going to be playing in the rotation. In the secondary, I think we've got a couple of young kids, like we just mentioned, that could play. On the offense side of the ball, Gabe Fuselier could play slide a little bit too. I think he could help us. As far as new guys, not a lot other than, to me, the biggest one we've mentioned would be Matt Barnes. I think he'll be the first one that would come to mind that the fans are not used to seeing because he didn't play a whole lot last year. So that could be one of the guys that could get the most playing time. And our left guard. So I think Donovan Williams, I think that would be 2 that our fans have not seen.
Coach, Trey Johnson listed as an outside linebacker now on the depth chart. You had to make a position.
Yeah, he has moved to inside linebacker.
He's moved to...
He's inside. He's
Okay.
moved inside.
Okay, so
Coach, what's Gabe doing in practice that's making you say that you think he's going to get a lot of playing time?
Gabe, he knows what to do. That guy's picked up the offense for a freshman. And, he's really stuck to those quarterbacks and receivers this summer. He was right in their hip pocket, and I think they sort of adopted me in a little bit and included him a lot. And so he knows what to do. He's tough. He's fast. Still a freshman. And we'll sort of see how he progresses. But if he keeps progressing, if it's a long season, a lot of things can happen. And but I think if needed, he would really come in and be effective.
Anything else?
Thanks, guys. See you all on Saturday. Thanks.
Okay. All right, thanks a lot. Just a reminder, tomorrow practice,